I'm your host, Lynn Dorman, a little bit darker than usual for some reason. I can't figure that out. But anyway, I'm here, and you can see me in the dark. You got Booze right here, Larry Curly and Mo back behind me. Behind my head right here is our new ghost on the block. His name is Libby May. And I'm going to make an effort to put Libby May's spirit connected to that so her and I can come recontact each other since me leaving Chicago. Uh, More news on that coming up. I may be working back, talking about Baxter's Grove a lot pretty soon. But no, it's a secret. Anyway, it's no secret that I was at the New Orleans Paracon this past weekend. And yes, I podcasted all day Sunday. We did an amazing feat. We did 2 ghost hunts over a block apart in New Orleans, in the French Quarter, at both the Andrew Jackson and Claudia's Voodoo House. And we went back and forth between the 2 locations as we were doing some rather significant ghost hunting at both locations. I was at the Andrew Jackson Hotel. Priest, which is the most powerful spirit there, was active. Actually called. Everything is slowed down. Chris Vitale, the host, had walked away. He was in another room, making contact in another room with another spirit. This priest felt lonely or jealous or something, and he called all women into the closet, which is where the primary place to investigate and talk to the priest. All 5 women went in the closet, and I had my echo box in there, of course, listening to everything they said or the priest said, and that's how we heard his voice through my speaker that was out in the courtyard. And things on that speaker went absolutely bonkers. You imagine 5 women and a talkative spirit. Chris came down, wanted to know where everybody was, and I said, priest called them all to the closet. So he was running over the closet, and things really, really went bonkers then. It was a crazy situation. Too bad you weren't there and you missed it. You could have been there. Me, Christopher Talley, and a lot of other very good paranormal investigators. And you could have been. That's a hard place to get into. Is a Jackson Hotel, Andrew Jackson Hotel, one of the most haunted hotels in one of the most haunted areas of New Orleans, which is one of the most haunted cities in America. Now, the Saturday night I was in Claudia's Voodoo Shop, and you wouldn't believe what I was hunting with them. Father Sebastian himself sat beside me as we ghost hunted in Claudia's Voodoo House. And that was some amazing results. He is getting into the paranormal a little bit. Patty Negre is guiding him to do a little bit more ghost hunting. And he and I became friends there ghost hunting together. So that was something I got to do Saturday night. And then Sunday was all afternoon. And then I got up close and personal with Jason Voorhees. I talked to James Stokes. I talked to him and his wife Sammy. We had a nice little interview. But I also got Jason Voorhees on camera for a little bit. That was shocking. What else was shocking? Monday, it leaked out and became official Tuesday. That, you want to go ahead and show up the new logo? New Orleans Paracon 2027. You want to listen right here to All Access Network TV, as to any updates that will be occurring, and they will be occurring fast and heavy. It will be expanded, and we are in some new digs. Go ahead and show up the first of the photos. Hey, wait a minute. That's a Sheraton. Look at that. That's a marquee of a Sheraton. It's 50 stories tall. That is where this is a lobby. This is a bar in the lobby, and you see how small the people are with a ceiling in this lobby. This is also in the lobby. You see how the scale of that with that table sitting there. Absolutely amazing. Just a huge lobby. This is just a meeting room. This is where we'll probably have the top guest talking to everyone, their own private things. This is the ceiling in the main meeting room, the main hall where we'll be. This is the front windows, which you will be able to see this kind of view. Look at that view out there. And to scale, that is Christopher Talley shooting a video on his phone there in front of this window. That shows you how big those windows are. This is kind of across. This is not even all the way across, kind of between the beams there. But you see the size of this place. It looks like estimating 70 vendor tables set a good bit apart. That's where the New Orleans Paracon will be next year. If you want to walk into a Paracon with 70 vendor tables in that kind of room, ghost hunts constantly, be there. It's going to, my wife's looking at the show. She got to sell t-shirts and she got to sit there right in front of me, just a few yards from where I was podcasting. And she almost fell under the table when Jason Voorhees sat down. When I dared him to sit down, he took me up on his dare. Anyway, that's what we did this past weekend. We had a great time. Tune in to this show and to All Access Network TV for constant updates all this year and the first half of next year until we meet back in New Orleans again. It will be one of the bigger Paracons of the year in one of the most haunted cities. Don't miss it. That's all I can say. Now we're going to bring out our guest today. We do have a guest, don't we? Where is he? Doug Owen. How you doing, sir?
Doing well. Thanks for having me on the show. I appreciate it.
Oh, I can hear you at all.
No volume, no audio.
Huh.
Let's try that. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Can you hear him, Len?
My sound's gone.
Oh, his mic's off again.
There we go. Yep. I just unplugged it for a second. Can you hear me okay, guys?
Let's see what's going on. My sound's gone on both of you, so something at my end.
I can hear you. Can you hear him, Len?
I can now.
All righty. I'll let you guys go back.
That's something at my end. I apologize.
No worries. Technology.
I think I fixed it. Yes, technology. That's what it is. So you see what I'm recovering from. And not only that, the weekend before, I investigated Vicksburg's battlefield. So I'm a tired 70-year-old. But we're here to talk about you. Now, you've been on this network before, but you've never been on my show before.
That's right.
Yeah. If anybody is meeting you or hearing of you for the first time, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got started into this crazy business?
Yeah, it's my favorite subject. So I'm Doug Owen, author and paranormal investigator, and survivor of one of the most harrowing hauntings ever documented. I wrote my book, my memoir, The Unholy Silent, about my year-long stay in this haunted house. I've since created a network with a podcast, The Unholy Podcast, and I have a radio show, The Unholy Broadcast. So, kind of a whole overarching media network.
Okay. You've been in this for a while, haven't you?
Yeah, I've been around the block a couple of times. I've investigated some of America's most haunted locations. They've been pretty amazing.
Met a lot of people. There's a lot of good people in this business.
Met a ton of people, Jen Telly and, Chris and, yeah, all the good people in the paranormal community. It's really great to network out and meet everybody. And the expertise is just fantastic.
It's absolutely amazing. I'm honored to meet you. I'm always wanting to meet good people, good, smart, intelligent, good-looking people, and you qualify on all the above.
Oh, well, thank you. I'm blushing a little bit. Thank you so much. You're too kind.
You went with the hair a little bit opposite from me.
Yeah, I decided to go the other way, but it looks good on you. You should keep it.
Yeah, thanks. It was very hot in New Orleans
I can imagine.
because I was in Pittsburgh walking around a battlefield, sun beating down on my head. It was 97, 98 degrees, and the humidity brought it up to a real feel of 107, 108.
Lovely. What better way to get heat stroke, right?
Right. I tell you what, a little thing I'm really into. Two things. One, I was by one of the major monuments, and I saw a little path where they'd cut the grass. So I thought, what's down here? So I'm walking down there and found nothing. It's just where they walked that way with a lawnmower on. Maybe they wanted to break and hide from everybody. But when I got to the back side of it, I suddenly walked into a cool area that even in the sun felt like it was about 75 degrees.
Huh.
So I just said, okay, I feel you. You got me in a cold spot. I want to thank you for what you did to your countries, and I'm sorry you're still here. I didn't have any equipment but a full spectrum camera because it's just too hot to carry equipment,
Yeah.
and that was a surprise. But there was a definite cold spot. It's definitely a place I want to go back to. And then about 30, 40 minutes later, I was at instead of a gathering for infantry in the headquarters, I was by where the cannon are. And I looked around, nobody was around me. My wife was about 30 yards away in the car, letting the air conditioner run. And I heard a distinct voice with my ears saying, reload.
Wow.
Yes. So it's definitely a place I want to go back to with some equipment, maybe a different time of year with a little help because I can't do everything by myself. Not when I've got to carry it in the backpack.
No, I hear that.
And I'm sure you understand what I mean because you've go it by yourself in the past, haven't you?
I have. Yeah. Yeah.
Most people say you're not supposed to do it, but
Sometimes you've got to do it. And the interesting thing is that I really don't have to go and ghost hunt. The paranormal just seems to find me. So wherever I am, home, Friday nights, something bizarre will happen. So
oh yes,
I don't necessarily carry a lot of equipment. I've outfitted these special vests that we wear, and it's got everything built into it, including a backup battery on the chest. So it has almost everything we need. So we kind of travel fairly light.
cool. All right, yeah. What all have you got in this vest?
I have a EMF detector, of course, laser temperature. We've got cat balls. We've got salt. We've got Palo Santos. We've got a bottle of holy water in the back pouch. Two-way radio with an earpiece that goes up to the ear. We've got a chest piece backup flashlight. We've got a shoulder-mounted flashlight. We've got a spirit box mounted, and I think that's about it. Yeah.
Sounds like enough to me. Now, you would have enjoyed being, down there in New Orleans because there were people getting touched. One person was talking, and their arm went through a spirit, and they had to move over. Sorry. Several had spirits walk through them. I had one in the middle of the podcast, in the middle of me talking, touched me right above the ear under my hat. I was wearing my hat, keep my hair on my eyes,
Hmm.
and scratched me. And I don't know if you have had this happen or not. I had a sudden picture What I thought for a second was a spring, but it was a skeletal finger coming up between my upper ear and the hat, touching me up here.
Wow.
And of course, I'm in mid statement literally, and I just kind of zoned out because I couldn't even see my hand in front of me for a couple of seconds, and it was amazing.
Wow. Yeah, Jen invited me down there, but just couldn't make it this year. I've got too many other engagements, but next year I'm planning to make it. And from talking to them, that has to be one of the most haunted cities in the entire world. From the experiences they described, and the scratching and the attacks and things like that, these spirits there are very active.
Extremely.
Makes me wonder.
In another, do what?
I
Excuse me.
said, makes me wonder why.
Well, white people, of course, Native Americans have been down there for 2,000 years,
Hmm.
at least documented 2,000, probably more about 15. But white people have been there since 1600. And I don't mean these 1600s, I mean 1600 because there's documented white people there at 1601.
Mm.
And most of the people, I'm going to say a majority, died of malaria, yellow fever, or dysentery that went there in the first couple of 100 years.
Wow.
There was almost more dead than survived.
Fair enough.
And the way they bury you down there, you got a family crypt. Let's say a married couple. Uh, the husband, they get a crypt, build it up the way they want it. The husband dies. They put him in there, and they've got both bars that the remains can't fall through when they deteriorate. They cannot open that tomb for 1 year and 1 day after they put him in there. Even if the wife dies during that year, they have to put her in a temporary tomb and let her deteriorate. And they'll scrape the remains out and put them in the tomb with the husband when they can reopen it 1 year and a day after the husband died.
Now, is this a state law or a city ordinance?
It's actually part of the city ordinance. The 1 year, 1 day is a law.
Wow.
But it's also common sense. And they can't bury you in ground.
Right.
Because for people who don't know much about New Orleans, you can put your 5-year-old with a plastic shovel out in most yards in New Orleans, and they will, in a few minutes, they will dig down to the water table.
Yeah. I heard New Orleans is basically elevation below sea level.
The French Quarter is on a ridge. That ridge is only a foot, a little bit above sea level, and that's the high point of New Orleans. The big area where we're going to be, with that big 50-story tower next year, is sinking. The whole area is sinking. So yes, the base of it is below sea level, which is it, and that's what makes it a mess. Plus, you got the mighty Mississippi. All the rivers of Missouri, the Illinois, Ohio, the Tennessee, all run to the Mississippi, and you got all this haunted energy flowing down one lane, and it's just an amazing place. You got to be there.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I'm definitely planning on it. Want to try some of the cuisine there. I don't know if my stomach will be able to handle the Cajun food, but definitely the crawdad feeds and legendary Bourbon Street Bar and all that.
Don't call them crawdads down there.
What do you call them down there?
Crawfish.
Crawfish. Okay. All right.
Yes, crawfish.
All right. Crawfish. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Voodoo, the folks, the good folks at Voodoo Authentica will put a voodoo hooboo on there for saying crawdad.
Yeah. Good to know. Yeah, I don't want to come back with dysentery or You know, Taco Bell. I just don't want any of that.
There are several places where the gumbo is not too spicy.
Okay.
And there's a place almost right across the street from the Sheraton
Oh,
where
nice.
a good cheap place you can go get a pretty good. It's not a seafood gumbo. It's basically a chicken and sausage based gumbo.
Oh, wow. Okay.
You can go some of the other places, and they specialize in seafood gumbo.
Do
So
you eat?
sausage too. Pardon me?
Do you eat crawfish?
No.
No, you don't do that. Okay.
I have tried them. I don't care for the taste. I don't eat crab. I don't care for the taste of crab. Tried it, and they just don't care for it.
Okay.
Now I'll take crab meat in a good gumbo,
Ah, okay.
and I'll take some crawfish also in a good gumbo.
Nice.
So,
Do you know the proper technique of how to eat a crawfish? I hear it's a specialized technique. Do you know about that?
I know of it. I'm not sure exactly how to do it because I only did it once or twice and didn't like the taste.
Hmm.
But
I'm
you got to
told
suck the heads.
you have
The
to suck
flavor
that.
is
Right. Exactly.
is in the head.
The head. Right.
You basically got to break them in half and you eat the meat with the tail. And then to get the meat out of the head, because you're holding the bit off head right here, and you got all the good tasting meat inside, and you got to reach out and just suck the meat of the head out.
I might pass on that. You know, fighting the forces of darkness is one thing, but fighting my own upset stomach, probably not a great idea during Paracon.
And the best thing, what I did when I got touched during the interview, I had to put all my blocks up. I was kind of letting down because I was trying to be in contact with the spirits because I was doing a lot of ghost hunting down there. So I left my guard down a little bit, and that's why I got touched. I immediately had to throw the wall up so I could do what I was doing. So I'd advise be careful, and especially if you go there and talk to priest. Priest is not a nice spirit. Chris has had more dealings with him than I have. Priest is not a good spirit. He rarely talks, actually. And I was just surprised when I heard him say, "Women closet now."
Mm-hmm.
Over my echo box, and my speaker said, "Oh, y'all go."
I've
Because
heard
if he
of,
wants the women in the closet, he's going to have the women in the closet if they're willing to go, and they were.
yeah, I've heard about this guy before. Jen and Chris mentioned him before, but yeah, not a nice entity.
No, you gotta keep that guard. You gotta keep it. You can't have it all the way up and contact anything. Because your guard's so strong, all of a sudden you don't get anything. You got to keep it kind of partially, like one of those doors, old-fashioned country doors, where the top and the bottom open separately because it's got a split in it.
Yeah.
That's what you got to do with your protection. Keep your protection either up top or on the bottom and open the other part of the door. But be ready to slam it if necessary. And do not taunt the ghost in yours. You shouldn't taunt anyway.
Right.
I'm sure you've told people this.
Absolutely. I'm totally against taunting.
You don't want to do it down there because Chris was telling me that he told him not to taunt. And she went and taunted the spirits at Claudia's, the voodoo house.
Yep.
And she started getting sick to her stomach. Not feeling well, had to step outside. The tour was about over, so Chris ended it and took everybody out. And everybody was walking out the gate, and this girl was outside, first one outside into the streets, and it was ended up throwing up in the streets. And they went down to Andrew Jackson. She couldn't even participate. She couldn't even go anywhere near where Priest was because she was sick to her stomach and still throwing up in the street in front of Andrew Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
You do not taunt the ghost because there will be consequences, period.
No, absolutely.
Now, well, I think we've talked about me in New Orleans enough. Let's talk about your books
Sure,
and where
absolutely.
people can get them.
Yeah, I'm all over the place. You can Google author Doug Owen. You can visit Amazon and type in the unholy silence. You can go to authordougowen.com and see everything that's out there. The whole overarching unholy network is there. So I'm pretty much everywhere. You can find me easily.
Can they get your books on Amazon if they order books from
Amazon,
Amazon?
absolutely. Amazon, Lulu, Barnes and Nobles, Google Books, even Blackwell in Europe. A lot of my fans seem to be in the UK, oddly enough.
Cool.
Yeah,
Nothing wrong with that.
exactly.
Do you
So,
have a copy of your books within reach?
sure. I always have a copy of my book within reach. Let's see if we'll do this here. Get my fingers out.
Unholy Silence.
The unholy silence. There it is.
Without telling us everything in the book, because we don't want to do that, because we want people to buy the book.
Sure.
What do you talk about in the book?
Well, it started when I was the victim of a real estate scandal. The lender who was getting us the loan for the house we were living in bought it out from under us and then charged us exorbitant amounts of rent until we couldn't afford it. So I went to the Catholic Church, and I wasn't Catholic. I wasn't religious, but they got us into a home that was a lease to own, and everything seemed to be okay. I was financially exhausted. I was mentally exhausted, spiritually exhausted, and it seemed like everything was going to be okay. And then about 3 weeks later, paranormal things began to happen. So the book chronicles my year-long stay in this house, where whatever it was in the house continued to escalate until I finally left the home. But it took over a year to do that. And people say, "Man, you're crazy. I would have ran out that door the first time something happened." Well, I tell them I had no choice. It was either homelessness or me becoming a Catholic, slinging holy water like a gunslinger, and trying to fight whatever this thing is in the house. So that's what I decided to do for a year. Tried to protect my family, understand what was going on, and I reached out for help to the only people available, which was the Catholic Church, and then one paranormal investigation group. Now, keep in mind, the height of technology at that time was MySpace. So there wasn't Facebook or technology. Hell, there wasn't even really tablets and really good cell phones at the time.
Probably had the same friend I did when I was on MySpace.
I think we all had the same friend. What was his name? Bob or Mike or Tim or I don't know.
Something.
Yeah. So, paranormal things began to happen. And I reached out to the church, and they were really no help. So I'll tell you a little story. One of the incidents that happened. So Mass lasts about 1 hour. I don't know if you're Catholic,
No,
but it's pretty much
my first wife was.
okay. So you understand they've got it down. You go there, you kneel, you stand, you listen to the homily, you take communion, you're out the door. So Sunday morning in this little town that I lived in, only 80,000 people, and it was not very busy. The streets are almost abandoned. So we go to church at about 9:45 in the morning. We're back by 10:45. And as I drive up to my house, I notice the front door is open. So, of course, as a good husband, what do? I blame my wife. Hey, did you leave the front door open? No. What does a good father do? Hey, kids, did you leave the front door open? No. So as I turn into my driveway, I notice that my garage door is open. And I take a closer look as I come to a stop and put the car in the park. Every door and window in the house is open. And I'm thinking, wow, this is bizarre. My neighbor is out mowing his lawn, And I asked him, I said, "Hey, John, is this you? Are you screwing with me?" He looked terrified. He's like, "No, nobody's been around." So I had my wife and kids stay in the car, and I called the police. I had the Canyon County Sheriff's Department come out and go in the house and investigate before I was going in because I didn't know what was in there. They came back about 10 minutes later and they said, "Well, Mr. Owen, we have to tell you nobody's in your house." I said, "Okay, great. Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate it." They stood their ground. They looked at each other. I said, "Okay, what else?" They said, "Well, we've got to tell you that your stereo was turned on full blast and it was on static noise. We turned it off for you." Okay, thanks, guys. I appreciate it. You guys have a good day. They stood their ground again. I said, "Okay, what else?" They looked at each other before they answered. They said, "Well, we've got to tell you that every mirror in your house is shattered." I said, "What?" They said, "Every mirror in your house is shattered. So be careful when you go in there, pick up the glass, and get a better security." I was like, "Okay, thanks, Jim." They left. I went in to clean up the glass, and it wasn't just the mirrors over the sinks or the basins or the closet doors. It was the makeup compact mirrors. It was the dental mirrors. It was the forgotten shaving mirror thrown into a travel kit, tossed behind the toilet paper under the sink. Every single glass mirror was shattered
Wow.
within 1 hour of us leaving the home.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was scary.
It was pretty terrifying, but that was one day out of 375,
Wow.
and it
So all
continued.
this is in the book.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'll
Wow.
tell you another story, and this is rather interesting. So Tuesday, I'm going to interview for the first time ever. This is a great exclusive for your show. I'm going to
Okay.
interview a man who lived in this house in the 1970s. I finally located him. And from what I understand, he told me he couldn't keep the windows shut either. So I'm going to interview him on Tuesday and get more information for my second and third book coming up. But the windows would not stay shut in my daughter's bedroom. Now, 1952 construction, the walls are plaster. It's very Victorian in nature, hardwood floors. And those windows that have springs on the side, when you lift them up, they boing, boing, boing like a slinky.
Right.
So my daughter kept telling me the window kept opening. So I took sheetrock screws, the big long 6 inches. I drilled them through the sash into the sill. And we decided to go to church on a Wednesday. So we went to church and I talked to the deacon there, not the priest, but the deacon. And the house had been blessed 3 times at that time. This is about 6 months into our stay. And I told the deacon, I said, there's some weird shit going on. I said, there's bizarre things happening. This is going on. He says, well, do you have a weapon? I said, well, yeah, I've got a shotgun. I'm 250 pounds and a shotgun and a Rottweiler. I'm not afraid of anybody. That's not what I'm saying. And he says, well, your house has been blessed 3 times. I said, yeah. Why do you think that is? And he looks me dead in the eye. And he says, well, no evil can exist where God's love is. And I could feel the tips of my ears starting to burn. And I could feel the blush of my cheeks. And I was so angry. But my kids were there. So I said, you know what? Screw it. Forget I even mentioned it. I'm embarrassed about the whole thing. Forget it. Come on, girls, we're leaving. So we go home. I put my little one to bed. And my wife is at work. She works nights. And then my 12-year-old daughter wanted this Tampico juice. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It's the worst orange drink in the universe. It's horrible. And she wanted a drink, and I said, okay, well, here, before I'll pour you a drink, go put this little Jesus ceramic figure on your window ledge. We'll say a prayer. And at this time, I was a newly minted Catholic. I thought, wow, I can handle anything. So she comes back out, gets her drink. I give her a drink and say, okay, well, go ahead and go to bed there. I'm going to get myself a drink and I'll tuck you in. So we're about 15 feet away from her bedroom. And she goes into her bedroom and I hear her scream. Now, I'm like 3 steps away, bounding like Michael Jordan through the air, right? 3 huge. And I see my daughter in the corner of her bed, shivering, biting on her knuckles. And I look over and she's staring at the window. The Jesus statue she had put there was crushed into powder. And the window was open. And hanging from the bottom of the windowsill were the sheetrock screws sticking out with chunks of wood from the sill and the frame hanging off of it. Now, 30 seconds ago, this wasn't like that. And it happened in complete silence.
Wow.
So I took a steel bar, wedged it in there, and it didn't open again. However, the activity continued to escalate. And I asked the Catholic Church for help, and again, they were silent. The activity was silent. Friends fell silent, hence the title of my book, The Unholy Silence.
Oh, wow. Okay. Wow.
Terrifying activity in that house. And I researched it. Couldn't find any deaths, couldn't find any abnormalities, nothing in the region. However, there's probably Native American burials because there are 600 tribes here in Idaho. And I'm certain that's probably what it is because whatever is in that house, Judeo, Catholic, religious artifacts, icons, accoutrements had no effect. In fact, it made it worse.
Well, that, to me, my personal opinion, that's the first place I'd look. Is a Native American spirit. Your house could be very well built on a Native American burial ground. Most of North America is a burial ground for Native Americans.
Right.
There's estimates that when Columbus hit the Bahamas in 1492, there could have been easily 100 million or more Native Americans from Alaska to the tip of South America.
Wow.
And they're digging up some stuff in California that are 18, 19, 20,000 years old. I think some of the older stuff, but they're looking at it and not believing what they're finding, dating some of it at 25,000 years old. They're trying to verify that because that's just incredible to think there were people living in what is now the United States 25,000 years ago. That's just, it blows my mind.
Yeah, that's absolutely insane. I mean, that's
And I don't think the scientists themselves believe it.
Yeah, it would place them older than the oldest mummy artifact from Egypt.
Yes.
Interesting.
And of course, you're talking about Egypt. It was the Minoans that taught the Egyptians how to sail up the Nile against the current. Catch it when the 6 months of the year the winds are blowing south because the Nile flows north, and taught the Egyptians how to make their sails and catch it during that 6 months where they could actually sail against the current of the Nile.
Nice.
And that they may have done the same thing to the Mississippi.
Really?
Yes. Stir up. Look up Poverty Point sometime. You might find it interesting.
Poverty Point. Okay.
Poverty Point. It's the name of a plantation that was there. It's dead east of Monroe, Louisiana.
Got it.
And of course, it's right there, right beside the river. They found what they're calling houses that are built, in arcs. Yes,
Really?
yes,
How old?
extremely.
Hmm.
Uh, and there's also a huge mound there. This is the mound builders. They call it Mississippian culture. There's mounds built in 3 or 4 different places in Louisiana. There's a mound built in Arkansas. There's a mound in Missouri. It goes north from there. And the ages they're finding is amazing. Here, it's one of the first real cultures they found. And these people are moving millions of cubic feet of earth in baskets because they hadn't invented the wheel yet.
Wow.
It's a theory that the Minoans crossed the Atlantic, went through the Gulf of Mexico, found the Mississippi, and said, this looks a lot like the Nile to us. We figured that out. So they figured out when they could sail up the Mississippi against the current, passed all these places, got to the Great Lakes, because at that time the Great Lakes emptied out of the Mississippi, not the St. Lawrence. That's a fairly recent phenomenon. And found the most pure copper ore in the world, 99.99% pure copper ore,
Wow.
and may have removed about 300 tons of it.
For what?
Bronze Age. We're in the Bronze Age at this time.
Oh, okay. I got you.
And they backed it up. There's a ship off Lebanon that they traced the tin. They traced the other things on board the sunken ship. And they kept testing the copper and couldn't figure out where it came from. They checked it against every copper source around the Mediterranean. Didn't match. So one day they decided they'd check it against Lake Superior copper, and bingo.
Wow.
So somebody went up the Mississippi to Lake Superior and got some of that copper and put in, and their ship sank off the coast of what is now Lebanon.
Wasn't there a land bridge back then that connected the continents? I mean, besides Pangea theory, where everything's connected as one landmass. Well, I thought there was a land bridge that was.
Well, during the Ice Age, there was.
Yeah.
It was actually, they call it a land bridge. It's actually an ice bridge, but man may have come over before on the Ice Age before, or they may have come over by boat.
Interesting.
The whole thing is you go down a rabbit hole and you just keep on going and going because different scientists have come up with different things, DNA, blood samples. Turns out a lot of the Western Coast Native Americans are related to the Polynesians.
Okay. Makes sense.
And they may have crossed the Pacific in rowboats and came here. The Chinese traded with them in the very late 1300s and very early 1400s. Chinese had a giant fleet out there going around the world and trading with everybody, and they traded with the Native Americans. They introduced chickens. Look at a chicken from South America and look at a North American, which is a European chicken. There's two different chickens.
Okay.
Because one is South America or Asian chickens. How did Asian chickens get in South America? The Chinese dropped them off in the very early 1400s.
Huh. So if you eat the Chinese chicken, are you hungry 20 minutes later?
That's the way I usually am. But it's something you can look into. That is, it's a different way of looking at stuff.
That's fascinating. And to think that there's giant burial mounds all over the place, it's no wonder that paranormal activity is so rampant.
Yes.
It's rather interesting. So let me ask you, we have spirits, the spirits of the departed walk the earth. But then Chris Tully believes there's another thing, something that was created on day one and he has named it demon. Do you share that belief? Is that how you see it?
It's a theory. Uh, I pardon me. I'll let Chris be the advocate of that theory, but I'm not going to detract from it because it's possible.
Okay.
That's the way I look at it. I cannot argue for or against it. He is a much better advocate than I would ever be because Chris is a good guy and he can talk and he's a smart man.
Sure.
Now, his wife, Jennifer, is a very smart lady.
Absolutely.
And I get that from working with them. I've worked hand in hand with them. He cursed my name every time he writes a check.
Okay.
His friend Pamela, who helped a lot with the Paracon. I don't know if you've heard him mention Pamela's name before.
I haven't, no.
It was Pamela and I who talked him into this.
Okay.
And he can't spank Pamela because that would get him in a bad way with Jennifer. So he just says it looks like. Told me the other day when we were talking about the next year's Paracon, and I just told Lee, which is the CEO of this network, it looks like Chris is just going to make an annual affair of kicking my ass.
Nice.
So that's what he wants to do is kick my ass because every time he writes a check, he curses my name.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Because I talked him into this. We had a power meeting after an investigation last spring, not this year, spring of 25, and we got out of there. We stopped about 1 o'clock for the investigation. We stood in front of the hotel I was staying at till past 4:30. It's about 4:45 when we finally stopped. Hello, Dana. She is from iSpot Paranormal, or is that Spook? That's Spook. Welcome to the show.
Oh, there we go. Dano Hibsman. Yeah.
And then the next morning when I was packing out, we sat there and talked for another hour and a half, 2 hours about the different things about putting a Paracon together. And he finally went ahead and did it, and we pulled it off.
That's incredible.
It's a great story. If to be honest with you, Chris and Jennifer need to write a book.
Absolutely.
The trials of doing a Paracon. Taking over an existing Paracon is one thing, but when you're putting a Paracon together in a city that's never really had one,
Mm-hmm.
It would make an interesting read at what they went through.
Oh, absolutely. The documentary alone would be worth it. I can't imagine putting something so massive together. That's just, God love them. That's incredible.
Yeah, it took both of them together, and Chris admits it. He said he points to Jennifer and said, "If it were not for her, this wouldn't exist. And if it weren't for Christopher willing to financially go out on a limb, he wouldn't exist." Because I certainly don't have the money.
Right. Yeah.
He was willing to take the chance. They're willing to cut back their personal spending and do this. It's a personal sacrifice for both of them. A lot of work, but both of them love it.
Well, that's great. It's a labor of love. It's fantastic.
I could not have phrased it better. Thank you. Are you coming out with any new books?
I've got two coming out before Christmas. Beyond the
Really?
Yeah, which is a continuation of my paranormal exploits and the spirits and the entities I encounter. And then there's another one coming out, the Unholy Protocol, which is more of a guide. It's going to be like kind of a field guide. And through my podcast and interviews, I've talked to hundreds of people, paranormal investigators, and I've kind of learned what not to do and what we should do. And it seems like some of these newer people who want to fashion themselves as ghost hunters have no idea how to approach the paranormal in a safe, respectful, and consistent manner.
I agree. I've seen a lot of mistakes made. I've been doing this for almost a quarter of a century.
Wow.
I had two mentors, Dale Kazmarek. Yeah, it doesn't look like you've ever heard of him.
Nope.
Chicago. He started doing investigation houses, not locations. But he was investigating houses where people had issues in 1973.
Wow.
So it shows you how old he is, because I'm 70 and I graduated from high school 74.
Okay.
So my junior year in high school, he was already out and about and investigating problems that people had in their homes. And if you've heard of the White Lady of Baxter's Grove,
Of course. Yeah.
it was his group that took the picture. Judy Huff was there investigating with Dale Kazmarek. They both have copyright on that one. So it was Dale Kazmarek had the flag, and it was his group. Judy Huff was a member of his group. She took the picture. By the way, it was taken with 35 millimeter high speed film. Oh, infrared film too.
Okay.
And also, if you go back to Chicago in the 60s, in the 70s, Richard Crowe was constantly on the radio and on TV. He went for interview after interview on some of the smaller channels in Chicago, but at least it was going out in the entire area.
Right.
And that's where he got his start. He put Baxter's Grove Cemetery on in everybody's. He turned it on because nobody else investigated there. Nobody had heard of it. He's the one that started the whole thing by investigating from a bridge. He didn't go in there, but there was a nearby bridge on the highway that goes around it. And he would sit at that bridge at night and look at things going on in the cemetery and write it down and then talk about it on TV or radio.
Nice.
And he did a John Dillinger thing. He was his last one, and I got it on video. He died June of the next year. And of course, Dillinger was shot in July. So he was planning it, but didn't get to do it.
Mm.
And I worked with him several times on projects. And I was also in the Westerners, which is a Western group where you talk about Western, and also a Civil War roundtable.
Okay.
And he enjoyed talking to me with it. When we first met, we talked for 2.5 hours. I sat there for 2.5 hours and talked to somebody who doesn't sit there and talk for 2.5 hours. Because all of a sudden, I was his Confederate buddy since I was born and raised in the great state of Georgia and can turn on a Southern accent when I want to.
I had
14 years in Chicago kind of nullified that. And this is how I talk normally, except when I want to turn on the Southern.
No, I got you.
So I learned serious investigations, and I learned entertainment. Both in Chicago.
Well, that's great. So he was your mentor. Now, have you passed on what you have learned, like Yoda instructed? Have you mentored others? Have you passed on your knowledge
to anybody that will listen?
Well, I'm just saying. Not taken, buddy. You better get some mentor here, and get your knowledge passed on, because if you leave with that knowledge, man, that's a lot of work to go find your ghost and communicate with you and get all that stuff. So
right. What you end up with is a bunch of people like you were just talking about. This was a segue from what I said to what you said about 5 minutes ago.
That's right.
There's so many people coming into it don't know exactly what they're doing.
Exactly.
They're being told you shouldn't go something by yourself. But some of the best ghost hunters, Richard Crowe did it by himself all the time.
Mm-hmm.
There's nobody here in Arkansas, and when I first was in Chicago, I couldn't get anybody in Chicago to go with me and ghost hunt. I spent more times in Baxter's Grove alone than most people have ever thought about going in there.
Yeah.
And that's how I found out who the white lady is. 2.5 years of research. Let's say some of these new people go 2.5 years trying to figure out one thing.
That's commitment. That's dedication.
But I found out who it was because I got into a place that Dale never got into, and that's the house, the Humphrey house, about 2.5 miles from Baxter's Grove, and a house that was built for Amelia Humphrey, although she died the same year the house was finished in. And I'm not going to go with the story; it's too long. But that goes straight there. Whoops, wrong finger. Over here, right there.
Yep.
My new ghost back here in the background. It's called Libby May. And now my air conditioner turns on. And this problem you don't have. Your air conditioner pops on, it's right over your head, all of a sudden all your hair goes in front of your face. You don't have that problem.
No, my air conditioner came on and they just blew it off, and that was it. So yeah, that's all gone.
But it's Amelia Patrick Humphrey. The reason she's there is the aforementioned Libby May, that the spirit, their name that ghost after. Libby May Humphrey was their firstborn. Her and John Humphrey, her husband, got married in 1863. I found their wedding picture.
Oh.
If you put it next to the picture that Judy Huff took in 1991, it's a woman. Now, in the wedding picture, she's facing straight forward. And, of course, the stone, she's facing completely sideways. But you can tell the hair is the same. But the big clue is the dress is the same.
Mm-hmm.
It's a unique dress. You can't tell what color it is. 1863 photography? Give me a break. It's yellow.
Right.
And of course, in full spectrum photography, it's kind of pinkish, kind of yellowish pinkish. You can't really tell what color the dress is, but you can tell it's a darker color, or at least on the IR light, darker color, with big red polka dots.
Huh.
And it's the same, big red dots, about like that.
Wow.
All over the dress.
That
So
must have
that's a
been quite
unique
the
pattern.
spectacle in what was it, would you say 1600?
But
The date that she passed away.
that was 1881.
1881. Polka dots in 1881 would have been extremely outrageous.
It was her wedding. It was her wedding dress, and that photo was taken in 1863 in the middle of the Civil War. And the reason she was coming to Baxter's Grove is the town that John founded. The cemetery was not available until 1869 for burials. Libby May died at 11 months and 4 days old in 1865.
Wow.
So they had nowhere to put her. So they put her in the Patrick plot, her maiden name, in Baxter's Grove Cemetery. And by the time the cemetery was said vacated because the owner died and willed it to Cook County, they said anybody wants to come here and pay, you got to pay the money yourself. We're not paying for it. Cook County, of course. If you want to remove your ancestor, do so now. We'll let you. And about half the bodies were removed.
Wow.
There were no Patricks and no Humphreys at that time in 1988 living in Cook County. They were moved out to California or Florida. So nobody came. So there's still about 5 to 7 people buried in the Patrick plot in Baxter's Grove, including a slightly less than 1-year-old Libby May, who I finally communicated with.
Really?
Yes. Well, I had to communicate with her mother, and Libby May got to where she was playing with some of my equipment, a child, and spent so much time with her, she learned how to talk a little bit. I could get her to say a few words.
Nice.
Uh, Amelia Patrick Humphrey, got her talking in my investigation of the Humphrey house, and I'm only one of three people who got in there. One is not in the paranormal at all anymore. He disappeared in the wind. Another one, he was a police officer, Chicago police officer, a good investigator, but he was married and had all of a sudden started having kids. And you know yourself what happens to your expenditures on paranormal equipment when all of a sudden you start having kids.
Yeah. Goes
Yeah,
way.
he faded away out of the paranormal. So I'm the only one active in the paranormal who has been in that house at night investigating.
Wow.
Uh, and as a trigger object, we'll tell them, well, our listeners what a trigger object is. You know what it is. It's something that you use to attract a spirit.
Right.
His hat, not a duplicate, his hat, beaver skin top hat. He was only about 5'5". Top, really big old tall hat like this, not but about like this. Was sitting there on the bed. So I said, I want to talk to John. So I put that hat on my head for about an hour, hour and a half. Royally pissed off John Humphrey. Because there I am about 5'9". And Amelia, because of John was having an affair with his secretary when he got elected to the Illinois Senate, he was the most powerful man for several decades. The most powerful man in Cook County outside Chicago. If you wanted to railroad, you're going to have to go over there and pay him a little bit of money for him to approve it.
I got you.
And he hired a girl and he immediately started having an affair with her. And Amelia died. 6 months later, he married the secretary. And about 10 months later, he had her first of about 3 children by him.
Scandalous.
Politicians. Yes, it created a lot of scandal back then. And get this, he's buried here in the center, right?
Yeah.
Let's say the center of the screen is where John's buried. Over here, his first wife. Over here, his second wife. Over here, where his first wife is, the kids she bore him. Over here, the second wife, the kids she bore him.
Wow.
Things are not all pleasant in the afterlife.
No, I would imagine not. That would be a version of hell that I would not want to endure.
She thought it was hilarious and deemed it worth speaking to. She only speaks to me if I go there, or Dale. Dale has asked her on 3 different occasions, "Are you the lady on the stone and that I took? Judy Huff took a picture of when I was here in '91." She has told him yes 3 times.
Wow.
Nobody else can get that kind of response from her.
Mm.
But Dale and I are still friends. Because of this, we will forever be linked to Baxter's Grove.
That's incredible to have a reoccurring established relationship with a spirit or an entity. That's got to be an incredible feeling. That's something that I don't have.
You don't have that signature spirit you found years ago and been hanging around?
Not to my knowledge. It's possible, but probably not.
It's interesting from my point. I guess it's not many people have the luck. I don't know what you'd call it other than luck to have done what I did in 25 years.
Right.
That was some amazing investigating. I don't know. It's kind of unique.
Yeah, it's really not heard of. I mean, people are taking this up as a hobby. In fact, a lot of people are called COVID hunters. They started this as a profession during COVID because they had nothing better to do. And it was an isolating type hobby where they wouldn't risk infection. So I don't know that they treat it as serious as regular serious paranormal investigators do. But yeah, you're right. It's I don't want to be morbid here, but you're a dying breed.
Uh, no offense taken, because not many younger people give themselves the opportunity to do this. And I found out, and I've heard this just this past week or so, that to have a break, and I learned this in my long years, you gotta go and either ask for it or take it yourself.
Right.
And it's amazing what you'll get if you ask for stuff. Nobody's ever going to charge you for asking a question or asking for something. But sometimes, if there's nobody to ask about it, you just got to go get it.
Yeah.
And I've been lucky enough to go get stuff.
Nice. Nice.
I kind of grew up that way. My father was a politician, and that's how I got to actually speak. I had the opportunity, and I was watching local wrestling matches when I was a kid, 9, 10 years old, and I was sitting by a very nice older lady. We got to talking, and her son came in there during the wrestling matches and was campaigning for a spot in the Georgia legislature at the time. I got to meet him another time when he was running for a slightly higher office, governor
Okay.
of Georgia. And I also met him soon after being elected to a slightly higher office, President of the United States. Yes, I spoke to Jimmy Carter several times.
Nice.
Also, do you know who Pete Conrad is?
I'm sorry. So who?
Pete Conrad.
No, that doesn't sound familiar.
He was the third man to walk on the moon, commander of Apollo 12, which is usually the forgotten one.
Yeah.
You had so much excitement from the first with 11, and so much excitement from the failure that 13 was, and getting them home. 12, remember, we walked on the moon twice in 69, July
Right.
and December. A lot of people were distracted with Christmas when that was happening. But Pete Conrad was the third man to walk on the moon, and when I met him, he was in charge of something called a space station that NASA was working on in the 80s, trying to get going, trying to get people behind it. And he and I spoke of space station and getting the Russians involved.
Oh, okay.
So we had a talk in front of everybody during a conference, and he and I spoke of it later. But yes, I've met a president and a man who walked on the moon.
Nice.
If you go up and take stuff like that, if there's an opportunity, you reach out and grab it.
No, absolutely. And you say that Chris and Jen should write a book. You should write your book. You should write your whole story down. Create your memoir.
Mm-hmm.
Don't
Before
delay.
I pass on.
Well, I didn't want you to hear it like this, but
Yeah.
before write your memour.
I'm already deciding I got maybe 10 years left. Is being able to do anything, and that's why I'm so behind Christopher and Jennifer. I really appreciate the opportunity working with them. They're great people, and pushing Chris into getting a Paracon down in New Orleans, a city who desperately should have had a Paracon decades ago.
Right.
New Orleans should be the biggest Paracon that there is. And I think eventually it will be.
Absolutely. I have no doubt.
Because when you have people able to ghost hunt, we turned on a couple of REM pods at a couple of different booths, different type of REM pods. They both got responses within seconds
Hmm.
of turning them on. And these were just display models that were for sale. Turn them on and they're working. People getting touched all over the place. I
Hmm.
had a spirit follow me that I do echo box sessions here in the house. Follow me in New Orleans. Have you ever had that happen to you?
I've had a couple of things follow me occasionally. Yeah.
But follow me all the way to New Orleans. Follow me to the Andrew Jackson and follow me to Claudius.
Nice.
Just seeing what I'm doing, I guess.
Yeah. They're very
So,
curious.
so it's an amazing place down there.
Very nice.
I do hope you make it next year.
I'm planning on that. I really am. So far, my schedule's clear for Paracon, but yeah, I'd definitely love to get down there and see everybody.
Now, on your podcast
Mhm.
called the Unholy Podcast, that is
That's
a
right.
fantastic name.
Thanks.
Very foreboding. You ever try to get your voice deeper and talk closer to the microphone when you introduce yourself?
Of course.
There you go. uh, how did you come up with that name? And how long have you been on the air?
It's been on the air for just about a year, and it seemed to be the next logical step in the what would become the Unholy brand, the Unholy Network, the Unholy Podcast, the Unholy Broadcast, and the Unholy Silence. So it just seemed to be the next logical step because I wanted to reach out and talk to people who had more knowledge than I did, people like yourself, but also people who might need help, people who didn't know where to turn if they're experiencing disruption, terror, attacks, fear. And I thought by creating this podcast, it would encourage people to step forward and share their stories. Because if we culminate all the knowledge that mankind has, I think we would be really close to understanding what these things are and to classify them and to really understand the origins and why they're here. So I seek the truth. I really want to find out what it was that terrorized me. I really want to find out what it is I continue to experience in daily life. I want to know the origin. I want to know their energy source, why they're here, where did they come from? Are they self-invented? Is it wormhole energy that we're circling a worm? The thing is we all do this because it's the unknown. We're essentially explorers, in the further regions, and we don't go into space or under the ocean. We simply go into dark buildings where the dead are speaking.
Mm-hmm. Well, one theory of mine, physics. You ever take a physics class?
Of course.
You know yourself that once energy is created,
Right.
you cannot destroy it.
Correct.
Cannot be destroyed. Period.
Right.
It can change form. It can go
Correct.
to a solid, but it's like water. You can have a piece of ice that is rock hard, but you can also have liquid water go right through your fingers. Or you
Yeah.
can also have water vapor, which is this is southeast Arkansas. I'm waving through a whole bunch of water right here,
Yeah.
and that's what the different areas of matter. You can't destroy water. If you boil it, it becomes steam. It's just
Right.
water vapor in the air.
Right.
And what I'm thinking is the human spirit's the same thing. The soul, if you want to go to church about it, it's the energy. What goes on in your head is an energy. And when you die, that energy doesn't die.
Interesting.
It it leaves the body
and changes form.
and changes form, and that's even in the Bible. They said we were created in the image of God. God didn't look like this. I mean, he in all the pictures, some
Well,
long-haired guy like
I
this.
kind of did imagine him as you look with the white beard and the hair. So I mean,
Hmm. And so we don't all look like that. He doesn't have a nose or two eyes or a long hair.
right,
He's a non-corporate being of energy, and that's what we are. When you look at God, he may be brighter, he may be bigger, but we're in his image. And that's religion.
yeah.
And their version of going to heaven is, going over there. And there are worse places to go to.
Well, that's what
And
I'm
again,
told.
we're talking we're going to Sunday evening
Right,
Bible school here.
right.
And I think this is a lot of what happens.
Interesting.
And some of the spirits move on. They just go, they're right across. They got no business in this world. Others have businesses in this world, even if it's just curiosity. Curiosity is a powerful emotion. And if you want to know how your grandkids are doing,
Yeah,
you can just kind of hang around and see your grandkids, your great grandkids, and great great grandkids, and just sit up there on a shelf or in your rocking chair, wherever they got it stored, and watch everybody grow up. Some of them get stuck in the place by their own admission, their own troubles. If they knew there were murder, I've run into a lot of this in the mob in Chicago, where they're holding themselves prisoner because they're afraid if they take a step in one direction or the other, they will take the down escalator. And if they're practicing Catholics, and most of your mob people were practicing
right,
Catholics,
right.
if they know that they personally murdered 10 or 15 people and caused another 20 to die through their either action or inaction, you know where they're going when they hit that escalator. One going up, one going down. They're not taking the other one.
That's true.
So they imprison themselves.
That is true.
And that's my theory. How do you feel about that theory?
I think that's really interesting. I've never heard that theory before, but it's certainly plausible. It makes sense. It's just as valid as reincarnation or the Judeo-Christian heaven and hell. I mean, energy not being able to be destroyed is absolutely a physics law, not a theory, but it's a law, and that's true. So where does the soul go?
It's interesting. John Dillinger, that I mentioned earlier, could be a case of energy fading away. The energy that people saw him walking to the alley, especially on the anniversary of his murder or killing, whichever way you want to look at it,
Right.
used to see him go down the alley and fall. Several people did, but nobody has seen that in several decades.
Right.
And I have been there for a couple of those anniversaries. And right now, Tony Sabisky, a good friend of mine, is taking over most of the tour business. And he finally listened to me. And instead of taking his tours elsewhere and going by the alleyway, him and MJ True Crime, another guy in the paranormal, very good guy in the paranormal, are now having an event starting at the Biograph and going down the sidewalk to the alleyway on the anniversary.
Okay.
But those bricks are still there, the buildings. But I think the energy has come out of the stored energy has come out of the bricks, and he can no longer manifest there. I think he's mainly in the jail where he escaped from just a few months before he was killed.
Interesting.
There you can feel him stronger and a little bit more vibrant. I think that's where the majority of his energy went.
So that begs the question, does the soul energy diminish over time? Does it transform into another area? Does it leave the location and change form again.
They can go anywhere they want to, taking their primary energy source. As far as the area goes, you don't want to stay on the spot you got killed at.
No, certainly not.
Sitting there on an alley on the outside of Chicago, it gets cold, it gets hot. You'll go down where the nice, comfy, at least is fairly controlled jail cell, and you have people going through and can give you energy. Oh, I was doing another investigation, and I asked the question, where do you get your energy from? Remember? I said ask.
Yeah, ask or take.
Sometimes
Yeah.
you ask, sometimes you receive.
Mm-hmm.
I had two answers. I said, where do you get most of your energy? Do you go by a plug in the wall? Or do you prefer a light socket? Male said light socket, female said plug. Any kind of leaking electricity. And you can't make electricity where it doesn't leak.
Right.
They can hover around it. The light doesn't have to be burning. As long as there's electricity tied to it, they can go and recharge.
Interesting.
And when I said that, I said, "Oh, that's how you get your energy." And the woman said, "There's a smart man,"
Nice.
which was an amazing investigation. That was here locally in the courthouse. First thing I did when I got here, I wasn't even fully unpacked for moving to my house yet. And I investigated the courthouse.
You didn't unpack, but you ran to an investigation.
Mm-hmm.
That's serious dedication.
Yes, I was trying to unpack. Nobody even knew me yet. I wasn't even established at the local pharmacy or the grocery store. Nothing. I hadn't even checked in with the Dollar General yet. Star City's got 2,200 people in it.
Okay.
So,
it's a small town.
And I live a mile and a half outside the city limits, so it shows you where I am.
Nice.
But that's what I tell people. The kids says, go out, Esther. It's amazing.
That's incredible.
Like I said, you talk to many people when you go on your investigations, or Paracons you go to?
Yeah, I don't really go to Paracons. I'll do the conventions where I've been the featured author, special guest, things like that. I've talked to a couple of different people, Western Paranormal, Idaho Western Paranormal, different organizations like that. But everywhere I go, there's usually a paranormal investigator or somebody who wants to be one. But most of the people I speak to are from all over the world. A couple nights ago, I interviewed a guy from Sydney, Australia at 1 a.m. because he's 16 hours ahead. Right. So, it's all over the world. Everybody and every culture, every religion has experienced something paranormal, or they know somebody who has. So I say to the skeptics, the paranormal exists. Whether you believe in it or not, it doesn't need your permission to exist. It simply does.
I love having a skeptic around.
They're great. And we are part skeptics. We go in and we use the word debunked more than any other person on the planet. Absolutely.
Didn't somebody in the paranormal invent that word?
I believe they did. Yeah.
Because I've never heard it used in anything but the paranormal.
Only the paranormal. That's our word. That's right.
Debunked. And it's great to have a true skeptic with you.
Mm-hmm.
I remember investigating one place where we had a old-fashioned $10 ghost meter sitting there flashing away, wouldn't stop. And the skeptic said, if you can tell the spirits to make that meter stop flashing, I'll be a believer instead of a skeptic. He turned around and started walking. He hadn't gotten 5 feet yet and it stopped flashing. When The main investigator said, "Can you please, spirits, please stop playing with my equipment and let it stop flashing?" It stopped. He just sat down. Okay, tell him to start again. Okay, spirits, go ahead and start playing. Keep on playing with my equipment. Feel free. Go ahead and make it flash again. Boom, came right back on.
Nice.
And that was not me. I was just a witness to this. I was just being quiet and watching this and said, "Wow, that's cool."
That's fascinating. That is amazing.
And with a whole $10, things that look like the old cell phone meters, except they
Yeah.
were transparent. And one of those things, which is amazing.
Simple stuff, the simplest tools sometimes are the best. A gal from Wales uses just a simple bell, and it seems to be pretty effective.
What Sean here? He's producing a show tonight because Gwen's busy packing for another Paracon this weekend,
Right?
and I believe he can tell you all about using pendulums. And you can't get much simpler than that, and that's what he uses.
Nice.
And as you say, sometimes the simplest things are the best. Because I've seen lots of people they got $50 in all their equipment, and that includes a pen, a clipboard, a notebook paper, a couple of little cheaper items, and a flashlight.
Sure, sure.
And they're getting results, and somebody with $10,000 worth of equipment scattered over is not getting a thing.
Nice.
So, tell me a little something about your podcast. Who
Yeah,
who all have you had before? What have y'all talked about?
well, we've interviewed a lot of different people. I've interviewed young kids, Olivia Yoakum, who's 20 years old, and she's a paranormal investigator. And I think she just turned 21, but she has dedicated her life to pursuing this. As you said, she took it. She didn't ask permission, she took it. I've interviewed, obviously, Chris and Jen and talked about the time that the Catholic Church gave approval for the rite of exorcism. I've interviewed cryptid zoologists, cryptozoologists, ufologists, a whole myriad of different people with PhDs. It's pretty incredible. Psychics, mediums, believers, some skeptics. I've interviewed tons of people from all over the world, and the cultures are quite interesting. And everybody's beliefs are just slightly different, and they really don't agree on what the spirits are or what the paranormal is, but we all agree that we investigate it to seek answers.
That's what we're here for.
Absolutely.
And you say you've been on the air what, about a year and a half or so?
Yeah, it's been about a year and a half. Yeah, it's a fairly new endeavor. Yeah, I haven't been there for decades or anything else. Now, the book took me 20 years to write. It was a long time. And if I didn't have witnesses, and if I didn't have pictures, if I didn't have audio, if I didn't have a police report, I would have thought I was crazy. I needed to swallow some more Prozac. The things that were so bizarre. And it was one of those things where, I just sat down and finally banged it out because I did keep journals. I did keep a diary. So it was one of those things where I just refreshed, contacted the people who witnessed it with me, and then wrote the book.
uh I just received a little notice
Yeah,
that Sean, of course, would like me to say host of Eternal X Wolfpack Paranormal.
I see that. Yeah.
I've also been told by a guest that something's got to go in about 5 minutes.
Yeah, I'm going to have to take off here in about 5 minutes. I've got to run. But yeah, I just
We've been going for 90 minutes.
that's a good time. That's good.
It's amazing. So what would you like to say to go ahead and put a nice pretty bow on this package?
Let's put a bow on this. This week has been a big week for me. I've been published nationally in two national publications, Valiant CEO and Wellness Voice magazines. And I'm pushing really, really hard to get the Unholy Silence, the book, to the silver screen. Limited series or a television show or a movie, that is the ultimate goal. But I will continue to do the podcast and investigate the paranormal. I will continue to update fans, skeptics, and believers. And I will continue to bring you guys fresh, new things in my never ending quest to understand the supernatural, the paranormal, the extraterrestrial.
That's putting a pretty bow on a package, sir. Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. I definitely appreciate
And-
you having me on the show. We could talk forever. We could talk for days.
yes, we could talk. We could talk all night at least. If you ever want to consider having me on your show,
Absolutely.
best way to get in contact with me is by Messenger on Facebook,
Perfect.
or contact Gwen. I believe she sent you the link to StreamYard here. Anyway,
It's true. We're both insomniacs. So, yeah, it's all good. Yeah.
yes. Well, I'm a insomniac too. Sometimes I
Okay.
stay up all night doing this thing.
Perfect. Perfect.
I do an Echo Box show at midnight Central Time.
Nice.
So I thank you very much for being here. We've had a great talk, great 90-minute talk. It's been amazing.
My pleasure, sir. Thank you for having me. And I will definitely return the favor.
And you have a great voice that's made for radio.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. You're too kind.
Even though you have a face that do well on TV.
Well, we'll give it a shot.
You
Thank
take
sir.
care of yourself, Doug.
You do the same. Take care, Len.
I wish you luck in the future with Year of the Books, and maybe somebody out there will get smart and put you on the screen sometime.
Let's hope that they do.
You take care. You have a great night and a great weekend this coming weekend.
Thank you, sir. You do the same. Be well.
Oh, when is your show? Show. Real quick.
Every Friday the Unholy Podcast releases a new episode, and then Friday nights on the Unexplained Radio Network, I have a live broadcast show where people can call in and talk about their stories. So Fridays seem to be the sweet spot.
That seems to be a busy night for you.
It is.
All right, well, let me let you go because you got to rest up because you got a busy schedule tomorrow night.
Indeed, sir. But thank you so much. I appreciate it.
You take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Oh, okay. He's got to go do something. 90 minutes is clean long enough. The producer tonight is probably going to start throwing things at me.
I don't know. Do you want me to start throwing things at you?
If I don't say he's the host of Eternal X Wolfpack Paranormal, he will throw something at me.
Do you want me to start throwing stuff at you?
Well, I might have better luck dodging than to go face to face and you start hitting me.
I don't know. I might be able to throw a few energy balls your way.
It'd be the start of a Marvel movie. You're throwing energy balls and I'm dodging.
But yeah, you had a great show tonight, Len.
That was a lot of fun. 90 minutes flew by like it was 15.
Yep, it was a really good show. I sat here and listened to the whole thing, and you did a hell of a job.
That was fascinating. We exchanged a lot of information. If somebody is getting into the paranormal, I'd say this is one of my shows they could listen to.
Oh yeah,
Two
definitely.
of us are throwing out a lot of information.
Definitely so. He seems like he's a very bright and smart in the field where some people don't understand it, and he does.
Yes, he does. And I've been around people that's understood it for years, and I love hanging around with people like Doug because it increases my intelligence.
Oh yeah,
Listening to people like him, I learn stuff.
I've learned one thing. The more you hang with certain people, the more you start to understand more things, and the more insight you get with others, because everything starts to evolve when
Yes.
people start sharing information.
It's always good to surround yourself with people smarter than you are, no matter what you do.
Oh, yeah. Like I said, I just sit in the background and listen.
Well, I couldn't do what you do. You and Gwen do this all the time, and you had to put up with my shit. And I don't know if I could put up with my shit.
Yeah, I can handle it once in a while. I got a big dump truck here. Uh,
All
but
right. I get nothing special to get out of here. I do not have a guest for next week. I've got a few ideas of people to ask, and so the next few days I'll see if I can arrange a guest for next week. I've had several people actually say they would be lined up for guests. Certainly did not have any problem getting guests last Sunday. That was
yeah,
interesting. Uh, you've got to see the end, the last 2 minutes of my interview, because Lord, she moved quickly when I dared
I'll definitely
Jason
have to go
Voorhees.
back and check it out after the show here for sure.
It's the last 2 or 3 minutes of that one. We were having a very good paranormal discussion, and all of a sudden I'm standing up, daring Jason Voorhees to come over and sit down.
Hmm. That would be funny.
Oh,
I told you what I'd do if that happened to me.
uh-huh. That would have been funnier.
Well, we'll keep that a secret in case one of these days it does happen.
Yeah. Because he will be back in New Orleans next year. Hopefully you will be down there. And God willing, and the creek don't rise, Gail and I will be too. Because I think Chris wants her right back where she was Sunday, and that's selling T-shirts. And I know he wants me right back where I was, and that's interviewing some of the top people in the paranormal.
There you go. There
Because
you
that's
go.
where I was. And with that, why don't we go ahead and play the exit?
All
Go
righty,
ahead
here we
and
go. Have a nice night, everyone.
have a nice night. Good night.